The first hint of something extraordinary came just before dawn on April 17, 2097, at Valyria Station, Earth's premier deep space observatory. Perched atop the windswept Tibetan Plateau, Dr. Celine Königsberg was reviewing the previous night's data feeds. The array's quantum optical sensors, cooled to near absolute zero, were humming in their scheduled idle scans when an alert blinked on her console. An anomalous signal, barely above background noise, straying into the outer HELIOS PHERE. At first glance, it looked like a pixelated smudge, a glitch, perhaps, in the station's cryogenic circuits. But as she zoomed in, enlarging the field of view and cross-referencing with the station's gravimetric arrays, the smudge resolved into a slender streak, arching through the velvet black of interstellar space. Over the next 20 minutes, the streak blossomed into a column of points, not one object, but many a fleet. Celine's heart pounded as she scrabbled for communications. In less than an hour, a secure uplink crackled, connecting her with Admiral Marcus Ty aboard the Orbital Command frigate Vanguard Dawn. The Admiral's voice was calm, but taut with urgency. "Dr. Königsberg, what have you got?" The shimmering dot on her screen pulsed violet, its color shifting as it caught stray starlight. "Something enormous," she replied, her fingers dancing across the interface. "At least 1,500 individual hulls, each by my estimate tens of kilometers across. They're inbound from the direction of Proxima Centauri, closing velocity nearly a third of light speed." She paused, swallowing. "Projected arrival, late October, Earth Standard." Silence crackled through the link. Then Ty's response came, measured. "Inform New Geneva. We'll convene the Security Council within the hour. Global mobilization be mid-morning." News of the Proxima fleet, as tabloids hastily dubbed it, had spread across every inhabited continent. Satellites that once juggled weather data and commercial traffic turned to military readiness. The United Earth Alliance, a decades-old consortium born from earlier asteroid deflection crises, activated its highest alert level. In Warsaw, the Alliance's Emergency Council assembled in a reinforced subterranean chamber beneath the Vistula River. President Pilar Ortega of South America, Premier Tanaka of the Pacific Rim, Chancellor Muller of Europe, and others took their seats around a circular table rimmed with holo-displays, tracking the fleet's approach. No nation claimed ownership of Valyria Station. No one held the patent on Earth's defense protocols. Yet now, as the flotilla loomed, humanity was united by necessity. Diplomacy must lead. Ortega insisted, amber eyes steady. "If they respond to our peaceful overtures, we avoid needless bloodshed." Tanaka countered, tapping a display that detailed the swarm's projected energy output. "Peace talks won't stop city-sized warships. We must prepare our solar navy missile swarms, railguns, quantum torpedoes, everything we have. If they're hostile, I won't wait for them to open fire." Counselors argued through the afternoon, their voices echoing off concrete walls. In the end, they struck a fragile balance, full-scale defense mobilization coupled with every effort to establish communication, the sounds of silence back at Valyria. Dr. Königsberg's lab was a hive of activity. Her team, 19 xenobiologists, cryptographers, astrophysicists, and AI specialists, spent sleepless days crafting signals. They broadcast sequences in prime number pulses, universal constants encoded in neutrino bursts, and the periodic table of elements radiated in microwave frequencies. Each transmission was designed to be unmistakably artificial, an invitation rather than a threat. They waited for a reply. Hours stretched into days. Radios on every continent scanned the skies, day and night. When nothing came back except static, the tension ratcheted higher. Conspiracy theorists seized on the silence as proof the Armada was cloaked, hiding just beyond sensor range. Others feared they had already passed Earth's orbit, invisible and poised to strike. On April 23rd, Admiral Ty authorized the deployment of the Aurora-class interceptor sleek, hypersonic craft armed with particle lances and decoy drones. 10 squadrons, each crewed by volunteer pilots, leapt toward the swarm's expected path near Mars's altipoint. Humanity would at least know if the fleet was real and not a phantom of cosmic distortion. vanished without a trace just as the interceptors reached the designated coordinates. Their instruments registered the fleet's massive curving hulls glinting in the distant sunlight. Pilots reported the sight with a mixture of awe and dread. Seas of violet engine plumes, arcing through space, structures that looked alive, pulsing with an inner glow. Then, in an instant, the Armada vanished, not a gradual fade or a tactical retreat, nothing. One moment, 1,500 vessels, the next, absolute void. Lieutenant Arlo Jensen, lead pilot of Squadron Alpha, radioed in disbelief. "Ma'am, they're gone. Comms are spiking, sensors fried. We can't track them." Back at Valeria Station, screens blanked, data logs terminated mid-sweep. The silence that followed was more unnerving than any roar of weapons fire. Celine stared at her console, voice trembling. "Admiral, do you copy?" Her reflection stared back from the darkened viewport, eyes wide. Beyond the glass, a rising sun painted the Himalayan peaks in gold, oblivious to humanity's crisis. Somewhere out there, the Armada should have been, but it wasn't. And where it went or what destroyed it remained Earth's greatest unknown. The world held its breath, waiting for the next sign, the next tremor in the void. And in that pregnant silence, dread and fascination warred in every mind. What force capable of erasing an entire alien invasion could be out there, waiting? The dawn after the Armada's disappearance found Earth's skies unnervingly still. Airliner contrails, satellites, and even the faint glow of auroral research drones plowed through the upper atmosphere as usual. Yet something fundamental had shifted. Humanity had met the impossible and it had unraveled before them. Probes into the void 3 days after the vanishing, Valeria Station's AI-driven probe fleet sailed into the coordinates, where Admiral Tai's interceptors last detected the Armada. Each probe sleek torpedo-like vessels christened Odyssey, Intrepid, and Endeavour was equipped with gravimetric scanners, quantum spectrometers, and high-dynamic range cameras. Their mission: map the debris field and analyze any residual energy signature from the command center's holoprojector. Dr. Celine Konigsberg watched the live feed. The 3 probes emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their sensor rays flickering as they pieced together the region's geometry. Within seconds, their readings overwhelmed the station's processors, running at 40 times normal throughput, murmured Dr. Kailash Rao, the lead AI specialist. "We're seeing something surreal." Celine leaned forward. The holographic display resolved into an ethereal snapshot, a vast sphere of shimmering particles, undulating like a storm cloud frozen in time. Jagged metal shards, remnants of the alien vessels, drifted at its core, silhouetted against the phosphorescent field. "Is that an energy rain?" asked Dr. Miriam El-Sayed, the mission's chief astrophysicist. She tapped at the display, isolating a fragment. "Its spectral profile is unlike any known cosmic phenomenon. No gamma spikes, no X-ray flares, just pure dark energy resonance." As the probes circled the field, they transmitted close-up scans of hull fragments. The alloys comprised exotic lattices, elements unknown to Earth's periodic table, etched with fine filaments that glowed faintly. Some surfaces were burned away entirely, as if an invisible blade had sliced through atomic bonds. Material coherence at 10 to 15 meters has been disrupted, Celine concluded grimly. These ships didn't disintegrate, they were unmade. The fields whisper over the following week. The probes performed meticulous sweeps. With each pass, the energy sphere grew more inscrutable. It pulsed rhythmically, as if breathing. Occasionally, the probe's systems glitched, gyro sensors oscillated. Quantum links desynchronized only to snap back into alignment a heartbeat later. Latency anomalies, Rao called it. The field is warping spacetime locally. Navigation within 500,000 kilometers of that core becomes hazardous. Back at Valeria's lab, encrypted forums buzz with speculation. Some researchers suggested the Armada had overloaded its own warp drives, creating a catastrophic feedback loop. Others theorized a supernova remnant, miscalculated and displaced, had converged on their trajectory. But Celine had a darker suspicion that this was no accident, but a defensive mechanism and intentional annihilation. Late on the 7th day, as the station's frozen winds howled outside. Celine convened a private briefing. Admiral Tai joined via secure hololink, his uniform immaculate despite the long hours. If we assume the energy field was deployed deliberately, Celine began, then it implies the galaxy hosts a sentient safeguardian entity, perhaps, that maintains equilibrium by eradicating threats. She paused for effect. If so, we're not just looking at alien wreckage. We're peeking into the mind of something vast and indifferent. Tai frowned. A cosmic sentinel. The stellar web. The name lingered like a prophecy. Volunteers and Vigilance on Earth. Project. Aegis shifted focus. No longer about repelling an invasion. It became a grand investigation into the stellar web's nature. Space agencies pooled resources. The Terran Magnetohydrodynamics Bureau in Nova Scotia retooled its payloads for dark energy sampling. The African Deep Space Initiative reprogrammed asteroid miners as mobile laboratories. And in Australia, the Outback Observatory refocused its neutrino ray to detect any echo of the web's quantum whispers. Yet for every brilliant mind studying data in sterile labs, thousands more volunteered for sentinel duty. The Solar Navy mobilized reconnaissance wings, solar sails, laser-tagged drones, and human-crewed corvettes pressed closer to the energy field's periphery, always maintaining the 500,000-kilometer safety buffer. Lieutenant Arlo Jensen, now promoted to lead the Gamma Wing, described her shift on the retrofitted battleship Aurora's vigil. Through day-long relays, she monitored ripples in the field. Sometimes, without warning, a probe would flash static and tumble into darkness, its final transmission indecipherable. Each loss weighed heavily on her crew. Feels like staring into an abyss, she told Celine during a rare comshare. Her digital avatar flickered against the station's stark console lights. But we're learning. The field's pulses correlate with the solar cycle. There's an underlying periodicity like a heartbeat. Celine's eyes sparked. A heartbeat? You think it's alive or algorithmic? Jensen replied. Either way, it reacts. It adapts. Patterns in the static as weeks turned into a month. The world waited. Beneath Earth's surface, cities filled with memorials to lost probes, statues of empty robotic frames, plaques engraved with the names of AI constructs like Odyssey and Endeavor. Governments declared a global holiday remembrance day for the Tharxal Armada. Schools taught lessons on cosmic humility. Artists painted vast canvases of the energy sphere's iridescent glow. Meanwhile, Celine's team worked tirelessly, using a fusion of quantum deconvolution and reverse engineering of the fragment's lattice signatures. They constructed a simulated mini-stellar web in Valeria's high-security lab. The fake web was mere centimeters in radius, but, under precisely controlled conditions, it exhibited the same pulsing resonance. One evening, as red warning lights flashed across control panels, the experiment went live. Celine applied a calibrated magnetic pulse. The mini-web trembled, then answered with a frequency that sent instruments into overload. Data streamed in torrents. The web's signatures spanned X-ray through subhertz. Its oscillations mapped to multidimensional harmonics beyond three's dimensional comprehension. Ejiofor Kwan, the cryptographer, watched the patterns cascade. It's communicating, but not in a code we know. It's musical. He pointed to a waveform that rose and fell like scales. If we play back these tones, Celine nodded. Yes, we have to listen. The first melody on the night of June 3, 2097. Valeria Station hosted its first live recital of the stellar web across a subterranean auditorium. Holographic projections illustrated the dark energy field as a living tapestry. Scientists, officers, journalists, and dignitaries filled the seats, the air humming with anticipation. Celine took the stage. Today, we present not a weapon, but a witness. The web does not destroy out of malice, it responds to a threat. We have learned that it perceives the use of warp technology as aggression. Our task now is to understand its language, to negotiate our place within the cosmic balance. She gestured, and the auditorium lights dimmed. From the speakers came the web's melody, deep, resonant chords interlaced with crystalline trills, each note bending reality around it. For a moment, the audience gasped as if feeling the gravity of unseen dimensions tug at their souls. As the final note faded, A hush settled. Then Admiral Ty rose. "If this is our welcome song, we must learn its verses. Earth will extend an offering, a beacon broadcasting our peaceful intent in these same harmonics." Selene smiled, though, exhausted, "And we will wait and listen." Outside the observatory, the Himalayas stood silent vigil beneath a starlit sky. Somewhere beyond Proxima Centauri, or perhaps much farther, the stellar web pulsed on. Its melody echoed through the void, reaching every ear attuned to its ancient song, and Earth, newly aware of the grand stage on which it stood, prepared its voice for the next movement in a concerto as old as the galaxy itself. The discovery of an intact Tharxal scout ship in the heart of the stellar web's debris field shattered every expectation Valyria Station's scientists had dared to hold. Dr. Selene Königsberg stared at the vessel's hull, its surface, eerily untouched by the disintegrating energies that had shredded the rest of the Armada, and felt a thrill mingled with foreboding. The salvage operation under the pale glow of Valyria's central hangar lights. Crews in magnetized exosuits eased the scout ship, already christened Harbinger, onto the orbital lift plate. Its curving hull reflected their helmets like oil on water, dark and rippling with alien glyphs. Each symbol glowed faintly, as if the ship still held a frail spark of its creator's life. "Proceed with caution." Admiral Marcus Ty's voice echoed over the comm link. He hovered via holo-image above the lift, arms crossed. "Whatever happened out there, let's not exacerbate it here." Chief Engineer Raul Benitez nodded as he initiated the vessel's magnetic clamps. "We have atmospheric integrity, but internal pressure is nil. Boarding team is in position." Selene and a hand-picked team of xenolinguists, AI specialists, and structural analysts floated down the ramp. Inside, the scout's corridors curved impossibly, walls pulsing with bioluminescent veins. Microfracture scanners revealed no radiation leak, no warp core breach. It was pristine. "Hallways intact," murmured Dr. Ingrid Muller, the structural lead. "Hull plating is self-healing. Any damage is already mended. Let's find the bridge," Selene whispered. Echoes in the dark. At the heart of the Harbinger lay its command nexus, a circular atrium lined with crystalline consoles and holoprojectors that flickered as they booted. In the center floated a gravimetric data core, an orb of twisted alloy, quivering with residual energy. Dr. Ejiofor Kwan approached it reverently. "If we can interface, perhaps we can access their mission logs." He affixed a translation. Unitan adaptive quantum tunneler directly to the core's surface. Machines hummed, lights danced, and then the orb unlocked, projecting starfield maps, technical schematics, and troves of text in a script that bent at strange angles. Selene's breath caught. "Is that their language?" "It's more than words," Kwan said. "It's a multi-dimensional cipher. Concepts interleave like musical chords. It will take hours, days to fully translate." But the Harbinger had other plans. A sudden glow pulsed from the core, rippling outward in concentric waves. The crew staggered as the ship seemed to shudder, as if awakening from eons of slumber. "Stability alert," Muller shouted. "The hull's responding to the data core. Something is active." Alarms shrieked, magnetic clamps groaned, and the lift plate shuddered. Admiral Ty's calm voice cut through the chaos. "Evacuate back to the hangar. Secure the core remotely." Reluctantly, the team retreated. As they sealed the hatch, Selene risked one look back. The corridors seemed alive, bioluminescence coursing like blood through the veins of the ship, and at its center, the data core pulsed, beckoning, secrets of the Tharxal back in Valyria's research pavilion. The Harbinger's core was isolated within a Faraday cell. Under strict quarantine, the xenotech specialists began the translation, slowly. The logs emerged. "We are Tharxal of Coramel, moon of the emerald gas giant Zephyra. Our empire spans 1,000 systems. We travel on sacred mandate to claim new worlds for the great convergence." Images bloomed of lush biolabs, council chambers carved from living crystal, and armies of bioforged war machines. The logs chronicled the Armada's journey, hyperlane crossings, sublight maneuvers, the conversion of asteroids into staging grounds at Alpha Centauri's fringe. "We encountered the stellar web. Our calculations deemed it a harmless anomaly, no threat to our warp fields. On initiating Phase 3 assault warp, we succumbed to the purge. The words resonated with dread. The Tharxel had been overconfident haughty. They had assumed the web inert, as did humanity. Now they lay in pieces, their warships unmade. In the data stream, an annotation appeared, scrawled in haste. The web is sentient. IT responds to aggression. We awoke IT awoke in kind. May the stars forgive US. The holo projection faltered, and the core entered a dormant state. Celine turned away, her heart heavy. They believed themselves immortal, she whispered. And we have tread the same path, debating the web's will news of the logs leaked within hours, igniting heated debates. At the United Celestial Academy, conferences erupted. Dr. Alana Petrov, astroethicist, if the web is a cosmic guardian, then warp technology itself is an existential risk. Our entire propulsion paradigm may be suicidal. General Hiroshi Yamamoto, Solar Navy, we cannot abandon warp drives. They underpin our exploration and defense. We must find a way to cloak our engines from the web's sensors. Ambassador Leela Okoirth, Diplomacy Corps, the logs reveal guilt and regret. The Tharxel sought conquest, but they recognized the web's judgment. Perhaps we can appeal to its sense of cosmic order. Celine joined the debates late one night. Rubbing her temples, we must tread carefully, she cautioned. The web doesn't negotiate. It enforces equilibrium. If we display warp signatures above threshold or if we arm our drives, it may strike without warning. Yamamoto's voice hardened. So we rely on slipspace research and reaction drives? That throttles our reach, Okoi interjected softly. Or we build a new language, one of humility. The Tharxel logs show they tried to override the web. We extend an olive branch. The room fell silent. Diplomacy to an entity beyond comprehension felt like shouting into the void. Yet Celine realized that only by acknowledging the web's primacy could humanity hope to survive among the stars, a fragile accord under growing public pressure. The United Earth Alliance convened the first ever web summit on neutral ground and lunar orbit. All major powers sent delegates. Even private corporations with warp patents were represented. The summit's goal: craft and accord the rules of engagement. For any warp-capable vessel, Celine addressed the assembly via HoloLink, her image flickering against the backdrop of the Harbinger's data core. We stand on the precipice of cosmic fraternity or extinction. The stellar web does not reason like we do. We must demonstrate our intent to live in harmony with the galactic balance. Her words set the tone. Over 2 weeks of deliberation, the delegates hammered out the Stellar Accord Engine Emission Protocol (EEP). Warp drives must limit signature intensity below the web's reaction threshold. Peaceful Transit Clause (PTC). Armed vessels shall not transit hyperspace lanes without pre-notification via harmonic beacons. Exploration Obligations (EO). Probes must carry symbols of peaceful intent broadcast messages encoded in the web's own oscillatory language. Enforcement measures (M). Violations will incur collective sanctions, including suspension of warp research and quarantine of offending vessels. When the accord was signed, Admiral Typhon Celine, "You did good, Doctor," he said, relief evident in his tone. "We bought ourselves peace, at least for now." Celine exhaled. "Peace until the next ship logs in," she replied, "or until we make a misstep." The web's silent vigil in the weeks that followed. Valyria Station scanners kept vigil on the mini-stellar web simulated in the lab, as well as the real field far beyond Mars. No further disruptions occurred. The energy sphere's pulses continued their steady cadence, neither hostile nor withdrawn. Lieutenant Jensen reported from the Aurora's vigil. The web's drift rate is unchanged. It's like its content for now, Celine studied. The data point: contentment in the cosmos is more dangerous than wrath. It means the balance holds, but only until it doesn't. As summer deepened on Earth, humanity reconfigured its ambitions. Colonization efforts pivoted to non-warp methods. Fusion sail vessels once set for Proxima were mothballed in orbital docks. Young engineers embraced magnetic plasma drives. Patrons funded slipstream experiments. But in the quiet of her office, Celine Königsberg felt a tremor of unease. The stellar web had judged the Tharxel and delivered finality. It had spared humanity so far. Yet the cosmos was vast, and its sentinels many. She tapped a final note into her log. We have learned humility, but have we learned vigilance? And somewhere, at the edge of charted space, the web pulsed on its silent vigil unbroken. The signing of the stellar accord echoed through every capital, every colony shipyard, and every classroom on Earth and Luna alike. Yet in that grand moment of unity, an undercurrent of unease remained. The knowledge that humankind's reach now carried the weighty promise of cosmic restraint, enforced by a sentient lattice of dark energy as vast as the Milky Way itself. A world transformed by the winter of 2098. The surface of Earth bore subtle but profound changes. Warp drive factories once churning out prototype engines had been repurposed into research centers for quantum-anchored slipstream and plasma sail propulsion. The skies above major cities twinkled not only with civilian air traffic, but with fleets of experimental solar gliders, their reflective wings catching the sun's morning rays. Under the leadership of President Pilar Ortega, whose voice in the Accord's final debates had been both firm and empathetic, energy ministries diverted funding from military expansions to interstellar chorus programs, initiatives to compose and broadcast harmonics modeled after the stellar web's tone, broadcast into deep space as a gesture of peace. Across continents, amateur radio enthusiasts tuned their transmitters to the newly agreed-upon web band, a narrow slice of the spectrum reserved for harmonic beacons. Yet citizens whispered in cafes and online forums, had humanity truly earned the web's trust or merely postponed its judgment? Voices of the new generation at the United Celestial Academy. Classrooms once filled with Tharxal terrors, and web engineering now brimmed with young minds eager to explore the cosmos. Under new paradigms, among its students were twin sisters, Mira and Kaya Jensen, daughters of Lieutenant Arlo Jensen, who had grown up listening to stories of destroyed armadas and living sentinels. Where their mother saw danger and duty, the twins saw opportunity. In the Academy's Grand Lecture Hall, Mira sketched oscillatory waveforms on the holo blackboard. If we can sequence our slipstream drive's resonance to match the web's lower harmonics, she argued, we might slip between nodes in the lattice, reducing encounter probability. Kaya tapped her datapad, and if we upload a microbeacon, payload carrying live data streams of our navigational patterns, the web will see our peaceful intent in real time. We become part of its song, not a discordant riff. Their professor, Dr. Ingrid Muller, nodded approvingly. You're thinking not just like engineers, but as diplomats of physics. That synthesis is exactly what the Stellar Accord envisions. The Harbinger's legacy, meanwhile, in Valyria Station's newly inaugurated memorial wing. The Harbinger lay under gentle turquoise lights. Visitors, scientists, diplomats, and tourists walked its silent corridors, marveling at the alien architecture and reading quotes from the Tharxal logs etched in transparent panels. We believed conquest our birthright. We awoke the web, and it awoke in kind. Adjunct curator Dr. Celine Konigsberg often guided private tours. She would pause before the data core's display case and say softly, "This represents a choice to take without thought or to give with humility. We stand here because someone decided to listen." She watched as children traced the Tharxal glyphs, touching the floor as if feeling the ship's heartbeat. And she felt, for the first time since April of 2097, a cautious hope that Earth's future explorers would heed the lessons imprinted on these walls. A flicker in the web. An evening, 18 months after the Accord, an alert rang through Valyria Station's comm network. The mini-stellar web simulation in the high-security lab had recorded an anomaly, a single, faint spike in amplitude, unlike the usual rhythmic pulse. Celine rushed to the lab alongside Dr. Rao and Kaya Jensen, now a promising young harmonicist. The spike pattern resembled a clipped, staccato note in interruption, and within its data lay a brief echo of a transmission keyed in the web band. Rao's fingers flew over the console. It's a reply, not from the web itself, but from someone using the web's harmonics. He turned toward them, eyes shining. It's human. Kaya's heart fluttered. Someone out there is broadcasting in our agreed-upon tongue. Celine drew a slow breath. Then our Accord is working. humanity is no longer silent to the cosmos. But even as relief washed over them, a deeper question took root. Who was the sender? A research vessel on the far side of the Orion Arm? A hidden outpost defying the Accord? Or perhaps a desperate Tharxal remnant seeking sanctuary? The first contact vessel within hours, the United Earth Alliance dispatched the Dawn's emissary. A polished corvette equipped with dual slipstream, drives in an array of harmonic beacons. Captain Rafael Cortez, decorated veteran of the Mars Europa skirmishes, commanded the mission: locate the source of the signal, verify intent, and if possible extend Earth's welcome. Weeks later, transmission logs placed the signal 20 light-years away, in a small cluster of rocky exoplanets once slated for colonization before the Accord. As the emissary bore down on the system, its crew prepared their greeting, a live choir broadcasting the web's foundational chords, paired with messages of goodwill in every major Earth tongue. On approach, the planet's horizon revealed jagged basalt cliffs and a swirling orange sky. On the coastal plains, hundreds of human figures, scientists, settlers, refugees waved as harmonic flares rippled overhead. They bore makeshift banners: "We speak the web's language and peace in resonance." Captain Cortez realized they were not alone in seeking harmony. These pioneers had braved warp transit just as recklessly as the Tharxal once had, but with a different motive: unity, not empire. Harmony and Motionless dawn broke over the alien shore. The emissary deployed its beacons. The human shoyers' voices soared across the energy lathes of the stellar web, weaving through the lattice of dark energy that cradled the system. And then, as if acknowledging the gesture, the web's pulse shifted, elongating notes into a gentle, welcoming chord. Back on Earth, monitors at Valeria Station recorded the change, sending a chorus of cheers through its control rooms. Dr. Königsberg allowed herself a rare, unguarded smile. Humanity had not merely survived the reckoning, it had found a way to sing in the grand galactic symphony. Epilogue: a new movement into the twin suns of the settlement world soon named Concordia. Humans built the first interstellar embassy. To the stellar web, its towers, constructed of reflective alloy, bore arrays of harmonic emitters. Every day at sunrise, a choir of AI-generated voices sang the web's melody back into the void. A promise of peace repeated in perpetuity. In her private log, Celine wrote, "We are no longer mere travelers. We are custodians of a song older than stars. May our voices never falter." Above her, the sky shimmered with cosmic dust, and beyond that shimmer pulsed the silent lattice that had both judged and guided them. Earth had passed its trial by fire and by silence and emerged as a choir. Among the innumerable voices of the galaxy, the future lay open, a movement of notes yet to be composed, but humanity had learned at last to listen before it spoke.